Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're going to be taking a look at Tracy's new book, The Smarter Divorce.
Okay.
And we're going to be focusing in on really, I think, a key aspect of separation and divorce,
Yeah.
and that's building a really solid parenting plan.
Yeah.
We're also going to be drawing some insights from building a parenting agreement that works, which is a really, really practical guide.
Yeah.
Full of useful strategies and tips.
It is. It's funny because, like, they kind of approach it from different angles, but I
Right.
think they both emphasize the same core principle,
Yeah.
which is putting the needs of the kids first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And building a parenting agreement that works really kind of drives that point home. It's a really powerful statement. And it says, often a parent's first instinct is to demand full custody of the children.
Yeah.
These instinctive responses only add to the cost and pain of a divorce.
It's true.
And it's a stark reminder that our, knee-jerk reactions might not always serve our children's best interest.
Oh, totally. And that's where I think Tracy's book, The Smarter Divorce, kind of comes in.
Yeah.
Because it kind of delves into the emotional side of things.
Right.
Offers guidance on, how to manage those raw instinctual feelings that can sometimes hijack our decision-making when we're in that kind of like survival mode.
Yeah.
It reminds us that a calmer, more rational approach is really crucial when we're crafting a parenting plan.
It's not just about the logistics of who gets the kids when,
Right.
but about fostering that mindset.
Exactly.
Put children first.
That's it. And that mindset shift is what allows us to move from like divorce combat to co-parenting collaboration.
Right.
We're not, we're creating a plan for our children's future,
Right.
not reliving past conflicts with our ex.
So how do we actually build that plan?
Right.
What are the key components that make a parenting agreement really work?
Building a parenting agreement that works really provides like a pretty comprehensive roadmap. Breaks down the process into these essential elements, covers everything from living arrangements and decision-making to handling holidays, special occasions, and even like resolving, those inevitable disputes that are going to come up.
Right.
No matter what.
So let's unpack those elements one by one.
Okay.
And let's start with living arrangements.
Okay.
I imagine stability is key here,
Yeah.
right? We want to minimize the disruption to the children's lives
Absolutely.
as much as possible.
It's about, in the guides, it emphasizes clear guidelines for where the children will primarily reside.
Right.
Considering things like proximity to schools, existing support systems,
Yeah.
the stability of each parent's home environment.
Right.
It's about creating a sense of normalcy and routine for the kids, even amidst all these changes that are happening.
And then there's the potentially tricky issue of decision-making.
Yeah.
Who gets to decide what? And how do you avoid those power struggles that can erupt, especially when, emotions are still raw?
It's a valid concern, and the guide offers several different decision-making models to consider.
Okay.
For instance, day-to-day decisions could be handled by the parent the child is with at that time, while like major decisions about education or healthcare could be made jointly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance between, practicality
Yeah.
and shared responsibility.
Okay.
And this is where, communication and a willingness to compromise are so essential.
Yeah.
You may not always see eye to eye with your ex,
Right.
but finding common ground is vital for your children's well-being. Think of it as teamwork, even if you're not on the best of terms personally.
So clear communication compromise. What else is crucial for navigating this decision-making aspect?
Well, the guide also encourages a proactive approach to potential disagreements.
Okay.
So, for example, let's say you and your ex have very different views on vaccinations. Addressing that up front, rather than waiting for a conflict to arise, can save a lot of heartache down the line.
It's like anticipating those bumps in the road
Yeah.
and having a plan for how to navigate them smoothly.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial element: holidays and special occasions.
Ah, yes, birthdays, Thanksgiving, summer vacations.
All the fun stuff.
These can be so emotionally charged,
Yeah,
especially in those early stages of separation.
absolutely. Building a parenting agreement that works stresses the importance of having a really detailed schedule that outlines, how these occasions will be handled.
Okay.
It's about ensuring that both parents have meaningful time with the children and that the children themselves can enjoy these special moments without feeling caught in the middle.
And let's not forget about dispute resolution.
Right.
Because let's face it, disagreements are bound to happen even with the best laid plans.
Oh, for sure.
What does building a parenting agreement that works recommend for handling those sticky situations?
Well, having a pre-agreed process is key. The guide suggests options like mediation, where you have a neutral third party who can come in and help facilitate communication
Hmm.
and help both parties find solutions that are mutually agreeable.
Right.
It's a way to kind of de-escalate that conflict and keep the focus where it needs to be, which is on the best interests of the kids.
So it's like having a safety net, a structured way to work through those disagreements without letting them kind of spiral out of control.
Right. It's about being proactive, recognizing that conflict is just a natural part of
Yeah.
any relationship,
Well,
even a co-parenting one.
we've covered a lot of ground already, the importance of prioritizing the children, the shift from combat to collaboration, the key elements of a parenting plan,
Yep.
even anticipating those potential disputes.
Right.
But what about those common challenges that crop up, even with a solid plan in place?
Yeah.
How do we troubleshoot those tricky situations?
That's where the real work begins. And luckily, building a parenting agreement that works offers some really practical advice for navigating those bumps in the road.
Okay.
For example, what happens if you and your ex hit an impasse
Oh,
during negotiations?
I can imagine that happening all the time.
Right.
Emotions are running high, you're both stressed, and suddenly you're right back to that divorce combat mentality.
Exactly.
What do you do?
Well, the guide emphasizes the importance of taking a step back and refocusing on the children's needs.
Right.
Ask yourself what's truly in their best interests.
Yeah.
Sometimes that simple shift in perspective can help break through that deadlock.
It's so easy to get caught up in your own emotions
Totally.
and lose sight of what really matters.
Absolutely. And if refocusing doesn't work, the guide suggests seeking professional guidance.
Okay.
A mediator or a therapist can offer a fresh perspective and can really help facilitate a compromise.
So it's like having a referee, someone to kind of keep things fair and ensure the children's needs remain the top priority. What other troubleshooting tips does the guide offer?
Another important one is maintaining flexibility.
Okay.
Life is constantly changing, kids grow and develop.
Right.
And what worked a year ago might not work anymore.
Yeah.
Building a parenting agreement that works really encourages you to build in regular review periods to your plan.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that a parenting plan isn't set in stone. It needs to adapt as your children evolve.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about creating a framework that can grow and change alongside your family.
Exactly.
And speaking of growth, I'm curious how Tracy's book, The Smarter Divorce, addresses those emotional challenges
Yeah.
that can make co-parenting feel like an uphill battle.
Well, it really delves into that often overlooked emotional landscape of divorce.
Right.
Offers practical strategies for managing those raw, complex feelings that can make co-parenting feel so difficult. It emphasizes the importance of self-care seeking therapy if needed,
Right.
and finding healthy ways to process your own emotions.
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first.
Exactly.
You can't effectively care for your children if you're drowning in your own emotional turmoil.
That's it. The Smarter Divorce really reminds us that taking care of our own emotional well-being is not selfish. It's actually essential for being the best parents we can be.
Right.
It's about recognizing that our own emotional state directly impacts our children.
And I imagine that managing your own emotions also helps create a more stable and peaceful environment
Sure.
for the children, even if things are tense between you and your ex.
Absolutely. When parents model that emotional regulation, children learn to cope with their own feelings in healthier ways.
Yeah.
It sets a positive example and creates a more harmonious family dynamic, even in the midst of a separation.
Okay, so we've talked about putting kids first, the shift from combat to collaboration,
Yeah.
the key elements of a parenting plan, and even troubleshooting common challenges. But I'm curious, what does The Smarter Divorce say about actually building a positive post-divorce life? How do you move beyond the hurt and the anger to create something new and hopeful?
Well, Tracy's book really challenges us to reframe our perspective on divorce.
Okay.
It's not just about ending a romantic relationship.
Right.
It's about transforming that relationship into something new and functional, centered around co-parenting.
So it's not about clinging to the past or dwelling on what went wrong, but about embracing the future.
Right.
And creating a new normal that works for everyone, especially the kids.
Exactly. And that new normal might even involve developing a more amicable relationship with your ex.
Okay.
Now, I know that might sound impossible, especially in the early stages of divorce, but The Smarter Divorce emphasizes that it's a journey, not a destination.
So it's about taking small steps focusing on communication and finding common ground,
Yeah.
even if it's just for the sake of the children.
Precisely. It's about letting go of that adversarial dynamic and embracing the idea that you and your ex are now teammates united by this common goal, your children's well-being.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. It transforms divorce from a battleground
Yeah,
into a shared journey of growth and healing.
totally. And speaking of healing, I'm curious about something.
Yeah.
We focused a lot on the practicalities of a parenting plan and managing emotions. But what about the children's emotional needs?
Right.
How do we ensure they feel loved, supported, and secure during this transition?
That's such an important point.
Yeah.
Children are incredibly perceptive
Yeah.
and often internalize the emotions of their parents.
Absolutely. The Smarter Divorce dedicates an entire chapter to helping children cope with divorce.
Okay.
It emphasizes open and honest communication,
Yeah.
age-appropriate explanations, and reassurance that both parents still love them unconditionally.
So it's about creating a safe space where children feel comfortable expressing their feelings and asking questions without fear of judgment or guilt.
Exactly. It's also about recognizing that children may grieve the loss of their intact family.
Right.
They might experience a range of emotions, from sadness and anger to confusion and anxiety.
And how do we as parents help them navigate those complex emotions?
Well, the Smarter Divorce encourages parents to validate their children's feelings, providing comfort and reassurance.
Okay.
It's important to avoid putting them in the middle of adult conflicts or burdening them with adult worries. Remember, children need to feel loved and secure, especially during times of upheaval.
So it's about creating a stable and loving environment where they can adjust to this new family dynamic at their own pace.
Exactly. And sometimes that might involve seeking professional support.
Okay.
A child therapist can provide a safe and confidential space for children to process their feelings and develop coping mechanisms.
It's like giving them a toolbox equipped with emotional tools to help them navigate this challenging transition.
Yeah.
I'm really appreciating how the Smarter Divorce goes beyond the legal and logistical aspects of separation to address those deeper emotional needs.
It's essential, after all. Divorce is a deeply emotional experience for everyone involved, especially children.
You know, it strikes me that creating a successful parenting plan and fostering a positive post-divorce life
Yeah.
requires a certain level of self-awareness and emotional intelligence.
Oh, totally.
It's not just about following a set of rules.
Right.
It's about understanding yourself, your ex, and your children on a deeper level.
That's a brilliant insight, and I think that's where Tracy's book really shines.
Mm-hmm.
It encourages us to look inward, to examine our own emotional baggage,
Right.
our communication patterns, and to develop a more compassionate and understanding approach to co-parenting.
It's like embarking on a journey of self-discovery alongside the journey of divorce.
Precisely. And that journey of self-discovery can be incredibly transformative.
Yeah.
It can help us break free from destructive patterns, develop healthier coping mechanisms, and ultimately become more resilient and emotionally intelligent individuals.
And those benefits extend far beyond the realm of co-parenting, right?
Oh, for sure.
They ripple out into all areas of our lives, our relationships with our children, our friends, and even ourselves.
Absolutely. The Smarter Divorce emphasizes that divorce doesn't have to be a tragedy.
Right.
It can be an opportunity for growth, healing, and even positive transformation.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the key elements of a successful parenting plan, learned valuable troubleshooting tips, and delved into the emotional complexities of creating a positive post-divorce life.
Right.
As we move towards wrapping up, I'm wondering, is there one final powerful thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
You know, it's interesting, like, both building a parenting agreement that works and the Smarter Divorce touch on this idea of looking at the parenting plan not as like a rigid contract,
Right.
but as like a living, breathing documenting. Something that can evolve as your kids grow and your family dynamic shifts.
That's a great point. It's like you're not just signing a paper. You're committing to an ongoing process of collaboration and communication with your ex.
Exactly, and that requires a certain level of, flexibility and a willingness to adapt. Because, let's face it, life, rarely goes according to plan.
Yeah.
Children's needs change, circumstances evolve, and you need to be able to kind of adjust your approach accordingly.
Which probably means swallowing your pride sometimes.
Yeah.
And being open to compromise even when it's tough.
Absolutely. Remember, co-parenting is a team effort. Even if you and your ex aren't exactly the dream team,
Right.
you both have a shared goal to raise happy, healthy, well-adjusted children.
And that shared goal requires effective communication, right? Being able to
Yes.
listen to each other's perspectives even if you don't always agree.
Precisely. And that's where the Smarter Divorce offers some really valuable insights.
Okay.
Tracy gives some really practical tips for how to navigate those tricky conversations,
Hmm.
how to set boundaries, how to even co-parent with a high-conflict ex.
Right.
Because let's be honest, divorce doesn't magically erase all the challenges
No.
of dealing with another human being.
I can relate to that, but
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe, divorce can be an opportunity to redefine your relationship with your ex, to build something new, something focused solely on the well-being of your children.
That's the hope, isn't it?
Yeah.
To transform what was once a romantic partnership into a healthy and functional co-parenting partnership. It's not easy,
Right.
but it's definitely possible, and the rewards are immeasurable.
Imagine the positive impact on your children if they see their parents treating each other with respect even after a divorce. What a powerful example of resilience, forgiveness, and putting family first.
Exactly. You're not just creating a smoother divorce, you're laying the foundation for your children's future relationships.
Wow.
You're teaching them about communication compromise and the power of working together even when it's hard.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one final thought-provoking idea you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Okay.
Something to ponder as they embark on this journey of creating a smarter, smoother divorce.
We've talked about the parenting plan as a roadmap, a living document, even a team effort.
Right.
But what if we thought of it as a treasure map? A map that guides us not to a pot of gold, but to something far more valuable.
Yeah.
A strong, resilient, and loving family, even in the wake of divorce.
I love that analogy. It's about shifting our perspective,
Yeah.
focusing on the possibilities, and embracing that journey of growth and healing together as a family.
And that, my friend, is the true essence of the Smarter Divorce.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to check out Tracy's book, The Smarter Divorce, and the practical guidance offered in building a parenting agreement that works. Remember, even amidst the challenges of separation, there's always hope for a brighter future for you and your family.